How's it going? How's it going, everybody? I'm Shitabana here, and I got a bit of a gem for you today. This is kind of a spur-of-the-moment video. I'm not scripting this or anything. Just because I kind of found this gem looking through some old Arakai stuff, and I just felt I wanted to make a video about it, because this deck you're seeing before you is known as Christmas STK, and it's something I piloted once on a Christmas many moons ago. And I thought it was just very funny, so this is a bit of an off-the-cuff video, so I don't expect a whole lot of editing or anything for this one, like I normally do. So what is Christmas STK? Well, it's a deck that tries to kill itself in the first turn of the duel. And in Arakai, there's two ways in theory you could kill yourself. It's either through burning yourself, which is like impossible to do, or with milling yourself to death, because Arakai, if you don't know, if you run out of cards in your deck and you have to draw, you lose the duel. So those are both the ways that you could kill yourself. Now this was made, I believe, I want to say it was around set 12 or set 13. It was late into the game. Oh, at least set 12, because we have a Demon Lord card down here from set 12. So at least set 12. And the reason it's so memorable is because I got a special role in the Discord for making this. So the reason it's called Christmas STK is because this deck only works on Christmas. And that's because of this spell called Joy to the World, which is just a neutral spell that says, expend 1, both players draw a card, but if today is Christmas, they draw 5 instead. So this tournament at the time just happened to run through Christmas, and I decided I was going to play Joy to the World Self-TK, just because I wanted to have fun. I think a lot of people were playing like Self-TK, or not Self-TK, but like Joy to the World-esque decks, just exploiting this. Back in the day, this was during Arakai's like Legacy era, when we were just kind of making shit. And there was so much unbalanced shit in fucking Arakai back then. Legacy format is just so terrible. But this was an abomination that I made work. I was able to successfully kill myself in the tournament using this deck. So I'm going to kind of go over it with you. There's a few cards that have changed since then, so I'm going to kind of explain how they changed. But for the most part, this is pretty unedited. So you had 3 Joy to the World, since it isn't once per turn, meaning you would probably try to use all 3 in the same turn. And again, your goal is just to get through your entire deck. 3 Library Secretary. So what you have to remember is that I'm trying to do this in one turn. I'm trying to go first, kill myself that turn, mill my entire 50-card deck. And so, because of that, I only had 3 Spirit to work with. There really isn't effects in Arakai that re-engage your Spirit by card effects. So that meant I only could really use 3 levels worth of ally to play the entire game. So naturally, I wanted 1s and I wanted 0s. And the one of choice was Library Secretary for me. You might notice this is a Tidal Abyss Splash deck, and that's because Abyss has a lot of self-mill. Abyss has a lot of self-mill, yeah. And Tidal has a lot of consistency, or at least it did back in the day. Not so much these days, but back in the day, it was a pretty good consistency color. And Library Secretary, when invoked, discards a hand card to draw, or if you discard a spell with Aura, you would spend 1 to draw. And we have a lot of spells with Aura that like are hard once per turn, so like you can only use 1 Tome of Knowledge once per turn, 1 Catacombs. So this was very live a lot of the time to just draw me 2 cards. And that's what I really wanted. I just wanted to draw, mill, and get through it. We had 3 Iron Legion Phantom Unbound, and you might notice this is the only Iron Legion card in the entire deck. Basically, the only thing you need to care about on this card is that when it's invoked, I can pay up to 2 life and mill that many Iron Legion allies for my deck. So what I would do is I would invoke this level 0 and mill 2 copies of itself just to thin my deck a little faster. And it was a 0, so I could play it for free. We had Necrochimera Asmodane, which, you know, just when it's discarded, you would spend a Spirit to draw. So we played 3 of that. Incomplete Shambler, which is actually not once per turn, which lets you, when discarded, draw a card, then discard. And Self-Replicating Splicer, which is a later Chimera that I called Old Reliable, that when discarded, you can search for another of itself hard once per turn. So 2 of that, 2 of this, and 3 of this for like my discarding triggers. And down here I do have 1 regenerating splicer for a bit of unexpend, because I remember its spend was pretty bad when I ran this back in the day. We have 1 Gifty Claws, another Christmas promo card that says, when invoked, both players just draw a card. I played this guy in a lot of shit. I always thought he was so cool. Look how friendly he is. Look how guy. I really hope we keep him around with the reboot. I love this guy. Look how happy he is. He's happy to be here. I only played 1 though because like I had other level 1s to play. I'd rather play Secretary, but he was a good one of. And we had 1 Haro Blizzard Assailant, which was an ice ally that just... keep in mind, this was during a time in Archive where like invoking by card effects was very common. So he could just reveal himself in another ice to invoke it and give himself Cairo counters equal to the level of the other ally. And for that we used just a level 2 ice. You can pretty much ignore this card's text. It is notable that like it can invoke itself to place 2 cryo counters, but you didn't really want to do that. Its main goal was just being the Garnet you revealed for Haro to invoke Haro by card effect for 2. And the final ally is Tome Seeker. And I'll shit you not, the only reason I played this guy at all was because A, he, in theory, if I bricked really bad, could be invoked turn 1. And he was a Demon Ward, which I needed at least 1 Demon Ward in my deck to resolve this spell. And for some reason, this is just a title Demon Ward that just never got changed. We don't know why he's a Demon Ward. He just is. Basically, he just can add a Tome Bat from Lost when he's normal invoked, and he can discard a Tome to draw. You didn't really want to invoke this guy, but he was the best Demon Ward for the Demon Ward spell I'm playing, because he was in theory playable. We had 3 Dark Sacrifice, and the thing with this card is, unlike now, this card was considered bad. No one fucking played this card because it was bad. Because like Sacrifice as like a mechanic wasn't really a thing then. So this card wasn't once per turn. So you could use 3 of it in the same turn. So like after you used up like your Phantom Unbound and your Secretaries, you could just kill them for Sacrifice to draw more cards. And again, like your Haro, your Gifty Claws too, same deal. You can even invoke the Splicer for that. Or add back Phantom Unbound. And just keep sacrificing your guys. Because again, this wasn't once per turn back then. It's once per turn now, but back then. 3 Tome of Soul, and the only reason we play this is just because it gave me Unexpend, and it was blue. When you cast it while you control another spell with Aura, Unexpend 1. And it wasn't once per turn, so we played 3. Back in the Dark, this is once per turn. You just discard an Abyss to draw 2. If you drew multiple copies, kind of sucked to suck. That's why, like, if it was a better, like, Miller or Drawer, I kind of played it at 2. Or everything else was at 1. Anyways, there's a lot of 1-ofs in this deck, and it's because you can't use multiple once per turns in the same turn. So I wanted a lot of different cards that could draw or mill to get me through it. We played Catacombs of the Forsaken, which discards a Chimera or Undead to draw a card. And all of these are Chimera / Undead, so they all worked out. You could like discard Self-Replicating off of Beckon and then immediately discard the other one for Catacombs. Or like do Asmodane stuff. It was pretty poggers. We also had 2 Deep Sea Exploration, which was just Pot of Duality, but in title. Look at top 3, add 1 to hand, mill the rest. Life Recycle, which just milled 2. And if you milled allies, you Unexpended Spirit. Realistically, with our small ally count, we pretty much just use this to mill 2. Tome of Knowledge is just an aura that it spends 1 to draw when you have another aura. And Tome of Mirage is just deck thinning. You cast it and then play another one. That's why it's in here. Revive Curse, you could spend 1 to target an ally and add to your hand. The best use for this was like recycling the Iron Legion Unbound or the Splicer. Just a 0, so that's why you could re-invoke it for Dark Sacrifice. Death Drive, which looked at top 3 for an Undead and added to your hand, and then discarded the rest. Decompose, back in the day, exiled an Undead from Lost to draw instead of Sacrifice. So you could just get rid of some of your fucking Unbounds in the graveyard for that. Dive Deeper is a card that's been deleted. This is an old set 1 card that we cut in the reboot because it's bad. It just discards a hand card to draw. This card was terrible. It was used in literally nothing ever. It was so terrible. And Fiendish Royal Flush, the Demon Ward spell, it spends a spirit and reveals a Demon Ward in hand to draw 3 and discard 2. The rest of the text is irrelevant. It was Graceful Charity, but you needed to reveal a Demon Ward ally, and that's why we played the Tome Seeker. Because it was a Demon Ward that was in theory playable for you to play Graceful Charity. And Forbidden Vault in the Tundra just removes 2 cryo counters to expend 1 draw, which is what you get from the Harrow. You reveal the level 2, you invoke the Harrow, it gets 2 counters, you get rid of them to Pot of Greed, that's why we play one of this. 1 copy of each of the in-theme upstarts, so discard 1, draw 1, and mill 1, draw 1. Note that back in the day, you didn't need a title or Abyss ally for these, you could just cast them. So they were just free like that. Careful Rummaging is like an old neutral card that nobody played that shuffles 2 hand cards back to draw 2. Very funny and was also used in nothing. And Double Dealing, just both players draw a card, because if it said draw on it, I played it, and then just 1 recharge to round off the 50 card deck. This deck was an abomination, but it functioned. I was able to commit Sudoku on Christmas. And I just thought it was a little funny tidbit that I kind of wanted to make a video about, to try and just save this to Arakai history for all of the historians, because this was an event. This will never happen again. The Arakai reboot is so much more safe with its card design, and we have a lot less bullshit and stuff like Dark Sacrifices once per turn now, and Decompose Sacrifices now. There's just gonna be so many changes, right? That I don't think this sort of deck is going to exist in the reboot. So I think this video was just a little off the cuff. I kind of wanted to document this for history's sake. And I thought it would be a little bit funny to look back on a thing in Arakai I made that, for one Christmas Eve, was a very funny day that I was able to commit Sudoku in an official Arakai tournament for fun. I wanted to mill myself out. I wanted to mill my entire deck, resolve Joy to the World, and just lose the game turn 1. Which up until then had never been accomplished. So I got to do a thing. But yeah, that's about all. I just wanted to show off this funny deck from Arakai history. Hope you enjoyed it. Arakai is much better now that we've done the reboot. I'll see you all later. Goodbye.